So there's a photo frame in my office that fell off the wall months ago, and I still haven't hung it back up. And that might seem like a small thing, but I was thinking about it yesterday and realized that the picture frame is a notification to me about something much bigger that's happening in myself, and I think might be happening in a lot of us. So for context, I used to be the kind of person who saw a space and immediately moved it toward beauty, no matter its current state. I rearranged the furniture, I painted the wall, I weeded the plot, I cleared off the table, straightened the chairs, hung the picture, and it made me and the space feel more alive. I acted quickly, I could decide, um, and knew that I would have a personal and positive impact if I did something. But when the pandemic hit, like so many of us, I had to change everything. How I worked, how I parented, how I connected with people, how I even fed myself, how I cared for others. So much was out of my hands and outside of my control. And I had to wait for things. I had to go slowly for safety, for policy, for clarity. For others, I had to make a decision and let it fail and try again over and over. And now it's years later, and that feeling hasn't fully left me. And I'm also experiencing new circumstances that feel outside my control, that have impact on my day and my life and my sense of hope. Um, Laws are shifting really fast nationally and here in my home state in Indiana. And these changes have an impact on me and the people that I love. So don't get it too twisted. I do care deeply. I speak up, I vote, I take action. I try to when I can. But sometimes when the pathway to something feels like the pathway to something better, feels muddy or blocked or entirely too big or complex or outside my immediate power or scope of the resources that I have to change something, I don't always know what to do. So what does that have to do with the picture frame? I think it's a symbol for me, like a little whisper from my internal self saying, you felt powerless and failure has fatigued you, so you stopped moving. This experience has a name. It's called learned helplessness. And back in the late 1970s, a psychologist named Dr. Martin Seligman ran a series of studies with dogs. He found that when the dogs were exposed to repeated discomfort that they couldn't escape, they eventually stopped trying to escape it, even when a way out was provided or given. They had learned through repeated exposure to these challenges, these difficulties, this pain, with no way out in that moment, that nothing that they could do made a difference. And he found through further research that human beings do the same thing. So after enough experiences of powerlessness or failure, especially in childhood or in times of high stress, think global pandemic or the world on fire or family crisis, etc. Um, we internalize that belief that I can't change anything. But the good news is Seligman didn't stop there. He went on to study how we can unlearn helplessness. And his work gave us some tools for hope. So the key to learned optimism, which is kind of like the antidote to learned helplessness, or this expanding our capacity for hope, is something called your explanatory style. So basically, how do we explain the hard things that happen to ourselves? And there are two kinds of styles that they studied: the pessimistic explanatory style and the optimistic explanatory style. Here's the difference. A pessimistic explanatory style says, this is all my fault. It takes things really personally. It also says it will always be like this. It's going to be permanent. Nothing in my life works. These difficult, painful circumstances are pervasive. But an optimistic explanatory style says, this is a hard thing, this specific. It won't last forever, it's temporary, and there are things I can try. It's changeable. One leads to shutdown and burnout, and the other helps us stay resilient, even in uncertainty, and cultivate hope. So, how do I start shifting? How do you start shifting? How do we start shifting? Let's try this. Next time we notice a moment of stuckness or powerlessness, big or small, pause and ask, number one, is this really personal? Is it really about me? Number two, is this permanent? Does it always have to be like this? And is it pervasive? Does it impact everything? Personal, permanent, pervasive. Usually, there's at least one small thing that we can do, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's challenging. Maybe it's hanging the picture. Maybe it's sending that email. Maybe it's taking a walk or drinking water or lighting a candle. Not because that one small action changes everything, but because it connects us to our own power and it expands our imaginations about what else might be possible next. So you're not broken. You're a creative, resourceful, whole, relational person responding to the overwhelm of our times. And still, you have agency. Still, you're ready to live at choice. You can shift. I can shift gently, one thought, one action, maybe one picture frame at a time.